Hello there, YouTube. Mr. Gibson Guy here. Thank you for stopping by my channel. Glad to have you here to visit. Today I'm doing a photography video. This is one that's taken a while because I've been waiting on the film to finally get developed and returned to the drugstore. And I'm working on changing around my setup for development so I can get things a little bit more promptly finished instead of just waiting a month for them to finally send it back to CVS, which has not been too satisfactory in keeping up on the videos, although I've got a lot of good reactions from these videos. A lot of people seem to like these pictures. Today's subject is my latest arrival in a NIKKOR lens, and this is a 20mm f3.5 super wide wide angle lens. I've got a Nikon, a Canon, and Olympus 24mm lenses, and I have a Contax 25mm lens, but this is my only 20, and this is the widest lens that I've had. And so I want to show you some pictures, the first pictures that I shot, almost the whole roll. I brought a 135mm lens along with me, also another NIKKOR 135 f2.8, and I used that, I'm pretty sure, just for the first picture that I took, because the first picture on the roll is very clearly a telephoto lens, not a wide angle lens. And I'm going to go through these not too slowly. I'm not going to try to talk about every one of them, but if I go too fast for you, you can pause the video and look at it longer. That's the air conditioner and the fan here. I'll turn the fan off now. I may not do that. Trying to get this aligned just right. Okay. There. All right, so this is a boat out on the lake at the park, and this park is kind of a on the water park. It's not really a water park. There is a little swimming area, but there's alligators close to that too. So I don't know how many people get very far out. Plus, there's lots of boats going in and out around the area. And there's a playground, and there's a bunch of other regular park stuff there. Now, after this first one, we're going to go to 20mm. I think it's just going to stay there pretty much for everything. There's a couple of light leaks that came through somehow. Maybe a shutter speeded up or slowed down or something. But basically, there's a little light on the exposure, but came out really clear and sharp. The idea was I wanted to get used to shooting with such a wide angle lens, because with this lens it's like everything is a panorama. You just see from as far to the left and as far to the right as you can see, all put together in the frame, and everything is kind of backed away, because that's what the quality of this lens does, is it gets more in by crunching more stuff in. And this is the path here. This is part of the Rails to Trails program in central western Florida. One of the old railroad beds that don't have trains on them anymore are still out there, and they convert it into trails, and people walk it, or a lot of people bicycle on these trails, and you can go for a long journey, 50, 60 miles of trails that are these old railroad trails from north of Tampa all the way up just about into Marion County and Levy County. But very panoramic view with this 20mm lens. You can see this is you can't even see, if you're just standing there, you couldn't see the top of where those trees are because it's all filled in. But with the 20mm lens, it has this great view that gets all the far away corner details and up high and everything. So you get kind of dramatic pictures here. This is everything draped in Spanish moss, which is very common in Florida around the oak trees and the oak tree forests, and some not so much in the pine trees, but they really love the oaks. And this next couple pictures I took, this is kind of a four-dimensional thing. This is looking on the boardwalk straight down in the water, and you can see there's lily pads floating along there. There are things down below the water that you can see because the water it's kind of iced tea colored, but you can still see a couple of feet down. It's pretty transparent. And so you're seeing that, and you're seeing the reflection on the water of trees up above your head. So we have several different places that we're looking at that are all exposed together in this multi-exposure, which is really a single exposure, but the water multi-exposures it. And some pretty dramatic looking stuff here. If you take a look at that, it's like, what is this, on the surface of Mars or something? Well, I don't know, they got water there, so probably not Mars. It would have to be ice there. Okay. So these made for very interesting pictures, and with the effect of the 20 millimeter lens really putting everything into the picture like that, because it had such a wide and tall view. One of the service buildings there at the park. This is a huge park, and it has lots of different stuff there, as you're going to see. Here's the playground, and it has all these different playthings, stations for the kids and chairs for the parents. And when you're there, everything is just right on top of each other. It's this and this one right next to it, and this is right next to it, but everything looks broadly spread out because of the effect of the 20 millimeter lens. Now, I wish I'd taken a picture with a 50 so you could compare it, but it's really hard to compare it anyway. But let's just say everything's going to be wide and panoramic views here. Here's looking at the same water we were looking at before, and you can see there's a boat there. You can just barely see it with the 20 millimeter lens. With that 135, you're right on top of it. And here's a little pavilion that they put out there on a boardwalk out into the lake there. And you can usually see alligators swimming around and turtles and all that stuff there too. Here you can see the park over on the right, and over here is what goes out to that pavilion on the water. And the walkway goes right in between it. Yeah, but okay, yeah, you can kind of see the bend in the corners as it gets farther away. Everything distorts on the sides, whereas in the center of the picture, and from here to here, it's pretty normal. Here's sun pretty early in the day. Everything gets kind of a purplish cast to it. Now they have this display, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 American flags in a circle. And this is what happens with the 20 millimeter lens. In the center, the flag poles are pretty straight. But as we go out to the sides, the flag poles bend in and bend in. If you went up further, you'd see they bend back out again too. So this is a circle of flags, and I'm standing pretty close to this one, and you can get everything in, although you would think if you were using a 50 you'd take a picture on this side and you take a picture on this side and put the two together to get what you can do with the 20 millimeter lens here. Here's an old caboose, because of the train theme here. This is a real caboose. It's retired, and it's part of the park there, just to take a look at, and you'll see several more pictures. Here's another, the flags again, and you can see there's some distortion in some of these and which ways they're going. This is from taken a little bit further away, but not very far away, just a few steps away from where it was. Here you see, here's the playground over here in this fenced off area, and over here's the gazebo. Oh, here, right there. And then the pathway going past. Here's just two flags with fairly straight poles. You can see this one curves this way a little bit, this one this way a little. And then here is another, got a couple more caboose pictures here for the end of the train. one more. And then another part of the park is where they have a farmer's market from time to time on weekends. And they have this big covered area, which they call the depot. And it was kind of taken from the original train depot, but it had been closed down long before that. And so this is kind of interesting because it's looking from side to side and up at the top of the roof and everything. And you get interesting views because you normally can't get this much, but everything is compressed into the picture. And here it says the depot. This is actually the shadow from the sign up here and the sun coming in on it that projects the sign, the depot, onto the pavement there. It's not really painted on there, that's just shadow does that. This is at the back of my house. I have these long tubular flowers that almost look like they're plastic. And there's a hummingbird that comes and flies around and takes the nectar out of these flowers. That's why they're growing there, right by my back door. And I need to mow my backyard. The weeds are getting kind of carried away there. And this is this very strange plant that I have, kind of some sort of a palm that grows these funky looking things in the middle of it, and then the kids around the neighborhood come around in the middle of the night and they chop them out and they steal them and they take them away. And a couple more sites. Here's the trail that runs parallel to the bicycle trail here. This is just for service vehicles. And here's the depot, not reflection, shadow from the sign, sun shining through it. And I got a few more pictures, but I'm going to change the format around because these pictures are vertical portrait format. So let me see if I can get these where you can see them. Okay. Right. If you can see those. That's kind of a panoramic view with holding the camera in the vertical format. Same here. Look down the trail. You can see there's people just went by, but they get far away because of what the 20mm does. Here you can see some of the playground equipment. And you can see it looks like it's all far apart there. There's great big open spaces, but there isn't really those big open spaces there. That's because everything gets spread out by the wide angle lens. Here's a couple more pictures of the Inverness water tower. That's supposedly the water to refill the steam engines with water. But it doesn't have water in it anymore. And a couple more pictures, the details of the ceiling in the depot, and then from the other direction you can see how the light is very different there. And so those are my pictures. Pictures taken with the NIKKOR 20mm f3.5 lens. Makes some pretty interesting images. I was just kind of wondering what my familiarity time would be, how long it would take to get used to using that and get used to the vision of 20mm lens, because it sees everything very differently. But actually it came along pretty quickly. At first I looked through it and what am I doing? Where'd everything go? But pretty quickly you get the vision of the 20mm lens, and then you just start getting close to things and looking at what else you can see, how wide your angle of view is, because that's what this thing does, is it gives you a wide angle of view. So I hope you found this informative. It's just another thing you can do if you go back into the history of film photography, you can find stuff like a 20mm lens in a NIKKOR was like $300 or $400, and I got this now for 120 or something, 130, and I was, thrilled to get it. Wasn't sure if I would be able to use it, but now that I've used it, it's not something you want to use every day, but it makes some interesting photos, and it gives you a different way of seeing your photographic subject. So I hope this inspires you to go out and make some more pictures, see some new light, and record what's going on there. Until the next time, this is Mr. Gibson Guy, and I am out of here. Bye-bye.